In this series, I will be playing Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel, starting on a fresh new account. I will be spending 1,000 gems per episode, building a deck, and dueling in the rank ladder with the goal to reach Platinum 1. This is the Yugioh Starter Series. Hi everyone, and welcome back to episode 2 of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Starter Series. If you haven't seen the last episode, feel free to watch it as I'm going to be spoiling it in the next 3 seconds. Alright, so in the last episode, we ended up going 1-2 out of the 3 matches that we played with 1 win and 2 losses. This was with our combination of the Monarch and Dragon structure deck. This put us to Bronze 5, but as for now we have 1,000 gems to spend. And without further ado, let's get into the episode. Starting off, let's claim our missions. It's going to give us free gems and free tokens. Alright. We got a lot of stuff from that, and a new icon. Okay, now that we have 1,000 gems to spend in this episode, out of the total of 7,040, let's go into the shop, and I think I know what I want to pick up. Last time, I realized our deck wasn't that strong, and good pickups here would be structure decks, either the XYZ or Pendulum, or the bundle deal, which gives us 10 packs and a very powerful hand trap or card that can destroy all monsters or spell and traps on the field, or even a card that can negate. These are all good options, but I think what we're going to be doing in this episode is definitely 100% going with the Pendulum Structure deck, simply because it is very, very powerful. And we'll be able to make a very good competitive deck with only 2 of these. And then the next episode, we can get the 3rd one, along with some packs to even upgrade it even more. So as for now, let's get the 2 Pendulum Structure decks. And with that, we spent all 1,000 of our gems. Let's go into the deck builder and let's see what we can make. So looking at the Pendulum Structure deck as it comes with just one of them, we have 1 of every card. So right away, we can notice that we have a lot of cards at our disposal. And since we have 2 of them, we can take out a bunch of these and just replace them with the same copy of the same card. So I'm going to start doing that, and I'll show you the end result. Alright, so looking at our main deck, I ended up taking out a bunch of the Pendulum cards that came in a structure deck that I didn't like, and replacing them with the same exact copy of some that are already in. I'm going to be doing the same with the extra deck and adding in some cards that we got last episode. So after looking through our whole collection, I ended up adding these cards into the deck. But this is not the final deck. This is just what I added so far, through using the free-to-play cards that we have and the 2 structure decks. So in this game, at the top left, you'll notice that I have these numbers. These numbers represent the gems that I can use to make certain cards. So there are some cards I want to add to this deck, and normally you would have to go through packs in order to get them, but in this game you can disenchant cards. Let's say I don't like Blue Eyes Chaos Dragon. At the bottom left it'll say dismantle and it'll give me some points. But let's say I really like this card. I can use the generate function in order to get another copy. Currently I only have 1, and if I use a generate spending 30 tokens, I'd get 2. So in this game, even if you don't own the card, you can make it. So there are certain cards I want to add into this, which are the first one being Electrum. So I really want this, but I have no ultra rare tickets. So what am I going to do? Well, actually there's a trick. I'm not sure if a lot of people know this, but if you redeem either a normal, a rare, a super rare, or even an ultra, and you go to the main menu, you can get some ultra rare tokens for free. You can only do this once. You can only do this on your first time. So I'm going to do it. I'm going to look up a card which I want to add to my deck. The card I'm going to add is called Time Pendulum Graph. So I'm going to be redeeming one of these, and we're going to add it to our deck. And as for now, we're going to save the deck, and we're going to go to the main menu to redeem those free ultra rare tickets. By the way, you can only do this once. If you've never redeemed, or if you've never crafted a card before, you can do this. But if you have, you probably already claimed this. So I'm going to claim my free 50. And one more time, let's look up Electrum, and now we can craft it. The cool thing too is we got a free pack out of that. So oh, and he's shiny. Yo, that's awesome. Okay, so we got a free pack, and using that free pack, we're gonna go to the pack and we're gonna open it up. This doesn't require any gems. It's completely free. It's just because we crafted. So let's open it up. Please give us something good. Okay. The card Pendulum Storm. What's this do? Destroys many cards in your Pendulum Store. No, it's not. I don't think it's good in this deck. There's some unique cards in here. A Zodiac. Okay. Alright, I got some Zodiac cards out of there. Not bad, not bad. And as for now, we're going to go back to the deck. And now that we got one of the most important cards in our deck, Electromite, we should add some more cards into this using the crafting system in order to make our deck even better. So what I think I'm going to do is add 2 more copies of Time Pendulograph, just because it's really, really powerful. And I might add a card that's very similar, but also very powerful. That card is being Double Iris, which searches this card. So I'm going to be crafting one of these. And what this card does is, if it's destroyed, I get to add a Pendulum Graph card from my deck to my hand. So I can add one of these. So it'll be very, very useful. And finally, there's another card I want to add. It's called Star Pendulum Graph. What this card does is, if a Magician monster leaves my Pendulum Zone, or my Monster Zone, I can add any Magician Pendulum monster from my deck to my hand. It's mandatory, so it has to go through. So I'm going to add one of these. Even though I don't own it, I'm going to generate it. So with that, we added 5 new cards into our deck. We added 2 copies of Time Pendulograph, one of these, which we crafted. We crafted one of these, Double Iris Magician, and we got the Electromite, which is shiny, which is really cool. Alright, there's another card I really want, but I don't know if I'm going to be able to obtain it just yet. So looking through all of our pulls, let's see if we got something really good out of those 3 packs. We ended up getting a card called Junk Destroyer, which, I'm going to be completely honest, I don't think we're going to be using. So using the crafting system, I'm going to be dismantling it. And now we can craft 1 extra ultra rare card. And that ultra rare card is probably going to be, it's either going to be Borrelsword Dragon, which is an extremely powerful card, or another card that helps with our Pendulum deck increase consistency, which is called Astrophraph Sorcerer. Which is, if a card on the field is destroyed, I can special summon this card from my hand and add a card that with the same name as a card in my extra deck or that's destroyed from my deck to my hand. It's an extremely powerful card. It will actually increase our deck power a lot, but I'm thinking that I might add a card in my extra deck, so just in case there's a monster that my opponent has that's so strong and we can't get over it, that I can just summon this monster and get over it. And that's most likely going to be Borrelsword. So we'll leave this card for the next episode or whenever we get some more ultra rare tokens. So we're going to end up getting Borrelsword Dragon so we can have a boss monster in our deck. And finally, I think that's all the cards we're going to be adding into our deck for now. So I'm going to be cutting the deck down to 40 cards to improve consistency, and I'm going to have to reduce the extra deck from 17 to 15. So rounding up our deck, this is what we got. So I cut down some cards in the main deck, but I realized that I do want to add 1 more card into the extra deck. It would be a rank 4, because we can make rank 4s really easy with this deck, and we still have some normal tokens that we can use. So I'm going to look up some powerful rank 4s that are normal using the filter mode. So I'm going to click XYZ, I'm going to click the number 4, and I'm going to click on normal rarity. And it's going to show us all the cards in the game which are normal rarity rank 4. And right now I see 2 of them that are extremely powerful. Heartland Draco makes it so if I control a face-up spell, which is really easy because pendulum skills are considered face-up spells, this card can attack directly, and also your opponent cannot target it for attacks. So this one's pretty good too, where I can detach a material, target a monster my opponent controls, and banish it until their next turn, their next standby phase. And also when he attacks, he gains 300 attack. The most important factor is that this card is like instant removal. I can summon it, and if the opponent has a really big monster I can't get over, I can just banish it. So these 2 cards are what I'm going to consider. I can add both of them, but my extra deck's looking really tight, so I think I'm just going to add this one, Heartland Draco, because it allows us to attack directly, and it also protects us if we're in like a sticky situation. So looking over both of them, I like both of them so much, I'm going to get both of them and add them to the extra deck, just because it gives us so much utility. Utility means that we have so many options to win the game that we can grab something from the extra deck to do something. So what I'm going to be taking out is Kachikochi Dragon, because I don't believe I'm going to be needing it anymore. And Nirvana, the High Paladin, is going to be very, very rare to make. And doing that, I'm going to be adding both these cards in. And so far, this deck is looking so powerful. And this is only with 2 structure decks. Next episode, this deck's going to get even more powerful. But as for now, let's jump into the duels and let's see how we do. So before we jump into some duels, I'm going to be doing a card for card. Starting with 2 copies of Dragonpulse Magician. This allows me to pop a card on the field. It's also an extender because I have a card in the deck called Unexpected Dai, which allows me to special summon it. So it'll allow us to go into a lot of plays without investing a lot of resources. I have 2 copies of Dragonpit Magician. The reason I run this is because it's a scale 8, it pops spells and traps. 2 copies of Tuning Magician. This will allow us to go into Synchro 8s, which is pretty good. It'll special summon itself, but really it's just there for now, just because it's a pretty good filler card. It can protect us in some situations, but I'm pretty sure we're going to be taking it out in the future. 2 copies of Performapal Odd-Eye Synchron. The reason this is in the deck is because it's a level 2 synchro, which allows us to go into some of the synchros we got in the last episode, which are Stardust Charge Warrior, which lets us draw one, and also Mighty Warrior, which I believe is a free-to-play card. Only reason it's in the deck is because it's a tuner, it's a level 2, and it's also a scale, which could be useful, but we'll see. 2 copies of Performapal Silverclaw. The reason I run this card is because it's searchable from Sorcerer. It's decent, it's a level 4, it's a beast, which allows us to do a contact fusion with our Odd Eyes Beast Dragon. We have 2 copies of one of the most important cards in our deck, which is called Pendulum Sorcerer. This card pops 2 scales and adds us 2 cards. It's very, very powerful. We're not going to be seeing it very often, I'm going to be honest, but it is extremely powerful when it goes off because it generates so much advantage. 2 copies of Wisdom Eye, which is probably the 2nd best card in the deck, or maybe the 3rd best card in the deck. If it's a scale, it can destroy itself and become any other magician card in your deck, and it just becomes that scale. Super powerful. It allows us to pendulum summon more and more often. It adds a lot of consistency, which means that our opening hand is going to have a lot of chances to be able to pendulum summon and do something that turn. This card is extremely important. The 2nd best card in the deck is 2 copies of Skullcrobat Joker. Normal summon it, you add a pendulum monster from your deck to your hand. 2 copies of Harmonizing Magician. Probably the 4th best card in the deck. It's really powerful. You can XYZ with this really easy. You can even synchro with it. It's just really good, and it's a scale 8, which is something that this deck heavily needs. 1 copy of Double Iris. When this card is popped, you gotta add 1 Pendulum Graph card from your deck, they are extremely powerful. This card's at 1 for a reason. It's so good. 2 copies of Oafdragon, simply because this card is one of the best cards in the deck. Also, when it's special summon, you can add a card in your graveyard to your hand. And also, when it's a scale, you can add a card in your extra deck to your hand. It's just super good. 2 copies of Odd Eyes Pendulum Dragon, because it's a big beater. We have a card that can search it. The card also lets us pop stuff if this guy's on the field. He's pretty good. Also, he can destroy himself in search, which is kind of nice. It'll improve consistency since we only have 2 copies of the structure deck. 2 copies of Odd Eyes Phantom Dragon, which is pretty good. It's worse than Pendulum Dragon, I'll be honest, but he's also an Odd Eyes card, so we can still use him. 1 copy of Raigeki. It's an extremely powerful card, destroys all monsters they control. 1 copy of Monster Reborn, so we can reborn one of their cards or one of our cards. It's a really good card. Everybody should be having it. I don't know if you'll be running it, but in this version, we will be running it. 3 Unexpected Dai. This will allow us to special summon the 2 copies of Dragonpulse Magician in our deck, which will allow us to extend. It's a free-to-play card. Everybody should have it, so I'm running it. 2 copies of Pendulum Call. This is one of the strongest cards in the deck. You discard 1 card, add 2 Pendulum monsters from your deck. It's very, very good. It pretty much makes it so if we draw this card and it doesn't get negated, we're able to set up our pendulum skills, and maybe not pendulum summon, but we're able to set up our pendulum skills. Duelist Alliance. If I have a card in my pendulum zone, 2 copies of it, you can search any card in the deck, or any pendulum monster in the deck, add it to your hand, even some of the spells or traps. It's extremely powerful card. 2 copies of Spiral Flame Strike. The reason we run it is because it adds an Odd Eyes, so it adds a pendulum monster. It also adds an additional effect where we can destroy 1 card on the field. It's very powerful in this version of the deck. 1 copy of Sky Iris. I'm only running 1 instead of 2 because it's a field spell. You can only run 1, and if we open up a 2, it's just going to be a completely dead card. Destroy card we have, and we can add an Odd Eyes card from our deck to our hand. It's pretty good. It's decent. The new cards that we added through the crafting system 1-star Pendulum Graph. If a Pendulum monster leaves our field, we get to add 1 Magician monster from our deck to our hand. Very powerful card. 2 copies of Pendulum Graph. Time Pendulum Graph. This trap card's extremely powerful, has really great synergy with the deck. Pretty much this card is our like go-to for turn 1, so we can have 1 disrupt. A disrupt means that we can stop our opponent from doing something during their turn. And that's the main deck. And as for the extra deck, we have 1 copy of Beast Eyes Pendulum Dragon, which we can contact fuse in this deck, which means that we just send the materials, if we have them on the field, into the extra deck and summon this guy. We have 1 copy of Mighty Warrior and 2 copies of Stardust Charge Warrior. We can synchro these using the Performapal Odd Eye Synchron. And these cards, they let us draw 1, and this one, it lets us destroy a monster. I'm gonna be honest, they're not that good. They're not that good. We can replace them later with better cards. 1 copy of Lion Paladin. We can make it using the Tuning Magician. Oh, we can also make him using the Harmonizing Magician. He has an okay effect where we add a spell card from our graveyard to our hand, and if we destroy a monster, they take damage equal to it. I usually don't go into him because there's better cards, but having there as an option is very good. 1 copy of Heartland Draco. If we ever get in a sticky situation where our opponent can attack us and we lose, we can make this guy, and if our opponent can't get rid of our scales, he can't attack us, because this guy, if we control face-up spell, he can't attack us. Also, this guy can attack directly. So he like gives us a little bit of utility. If our opponent has 2,000 or less life points and a big monster and we just can't get over it, we can just summon this guy, boom, attack him directly for a game. This guy is kind of similar, as in this guy gives us utility where if our opponent has something and we can't get over it, we can make this guy banish the opponent's monster and attack them. 2 copies of Time Star Magician. This card's very powerful in this deck. The more magicians we add into the deck, actually the better this card gets, because the easier it becomes to make. We detach a material and we add a magician monster from our deck to our hand. Also, if a card we have would be destroyed, we send a magician from our deck. It's a really good card. 1 copy of Code Talker. It's really simple to make in this deck. We might use it to link climb so we can get cards in our graveyard. It also has a pretty good effect where if it's targeting something, it can't be destroyed by battle or card effect. But really, we're probably going to be just using this as material. The absolute best card in the deck, Electromite. This card is insane. It enables, I'm probably going to be making it every single turn. It enables so many combos. It's just extremely insane. You'll be seeing it in the gameplay. It's an extremely powerful card. 1 copy of Gaia, because it's a nice card that we can make in some situations when we need a big monster or when we need a scale. Power Code Talker, similar. It's an okay card we can make as an effect where we can tribute a monster this card points to, double this card's attack, so it'll be 46. So it'll allow us to get over some cards, and it only requires 3 material. Traffic Ghost requires 3 material. It's actually really weak, but the best part about this card is that it has 3 scales pointing down, which allows us to pendulum summon 3 monsters under it, which is really, really good. And finally, our best card, Borrelsword Dragon. It requires 3 to 4 monsters. It's extremely powerful. Usually it can just end games on its own. That's why it's kind of hard to make. But just having this in our extra deck gives us so much power. And that's the main deck. That's the extra deck. We have 1 pack we can redeem, and then we're going to be jumping into those ranked duels. Excuse me, we have 2 packs we can redeem. Holy crap, it's shiny. Whoa, what if we get something really good? Okay, we got 2 cards that are good, what the heck? First cards, okay. Oh, another Dragonpulse? Wait, we can actually add that into the deck. A Noble Dragon, which is cool. Another Pendulum Call? Whoa, okay, we're gonna start with this one over here. That's a cool card. I really like rocket cards a lot. And then we have an Astrophraph Sorcerer. From 1 pack, we got some of the best cards. Whoa, that is really cool. We're gonna have to add these into the deck. Okay, and we have 1 more pack for free we can open. I don't know what to say. I mean, we kind of got like, and this one's good too. We kind of got everything that we need. Dude, what? Okay, so we got some really cool stuff. Alright. This is just some rocket and some random stuff. I don't know what this is. What is this? Coral Load Fusion Dragon. If we ever make dragons, this card is going to be so powerful. Holy crap. Okay, here we are. After opening up those sick packs, we gotta add in Astrophraph Sorcerer 100%. We also have to add in another Pendulum Call. It's shiny too, so nice. And finally, we got another card, which is called Dragonpulse Magician. So now we have 3. We gotta take out 3 cards out of the deck, so I'm gonna do that real quick. I'm gonna be taking out 1 Tuning, 1 Silver Claw, and I believe 1 Synchron. Should be good. Actually, we'll take out a Photon Dragon. So now our deck is super powerful. It's even stronger than before. So without further ado, this is our new deck in the Starter Series Episode 2. We went with 2 copies of the Pendulum Structure deck. We opened up a couple packs that were freebies through the crafting system, and we ended up getting some very powerful cards. Let's jump into some ranked duels and let's get started. So I ended up playing my ranked matches and I ended up winning pretty much all of them. I say pretty much because the first duel, I had the wrong deck selected. I had the Dragon Structure deck from last episode and I instantly surrendered. But as soon as I put on the Pendulum deck, I got 5 wins in a row. Now, this is only in bronze, but still, that's such a huge improvement from last episode. I'll be going over the replays and talking over the plays, so maybe it might help you. So let's get started. Alright, so starting in duel number 1. My opening hand is pretty good. I have a lot of plays, and I believe he let me go first. So I open up with Unexpected Dai, special summoning a monster from my deck. I set the scales. Wisdom Eye can destroy itself and become any scale. Generally, I search for a scale 8, so if I can Pendulum if I need to. I normal summon Pendulum Sorcerer, and I immediately go into Electromite. You're going to see this on every single replay. I go into Electromite. He is so OP. Electromite puts a card in my extra deck. I pop a card. I add a card. The card that I popped, popping means destroy. I get to add a card. So Double Iris is going to either add me the spell or the trap. I'm going to add the spell. And Metal Foes draws me a card, because a card left my scale. And activate those, activate my scales. I'm going to search a final card before I finish my turn. Pendulum Summoning. 1, 2, 3, and 4. I'm going to get Sorcerer's Effect to pop, and I'm going to get Harmonizing Effects, and he just surrenders, because way too much advantage. The score so far is 1-0. This is the second duel. My opening hand is still really good. I have a lot of searchers. I set Astrophraph as a scale, just so I can activate Duelist Alliance because I need a card in my Pendulum scale. I add Odd Eyes Pendulum Dragon because I plan on discarding it. And I add an Oath and a Harmonizing. I set the scales up and I Pendulum summon 1 monster. Oafdragon's effect, when you special summon, I can add the Pendulum Dragon back from my graveyard to my hand. So next turn I have plays, and I set the trap, one of the most powerful traps in the entire game. Excuse me, one of the most powerful traps in my entire deck. I think it's the only trap. Activate the trap, target a scale. Since my scale is not destroyed, I get to send I get to send another card to the graveyard. I normal summon so I can link summon into Electromite. Electromite's effect, I pop, add. Just so I can get a draw. Reset the scale. Now I'm going to Pendulum Summon 4 monsters. 2 for my extra deck. And 2 for my hand. I feel bad for the other guy because he looks like he's playing the structure deck that we played last time. But, I mean, we upgraded this turn with the 1000 gems. I'm going to activate Duelist Alliance, adding it back from my graveyard to my hand, just to add a card so I can have more protection. Pendulum Graph card. If a Pendulum Magician leaves my field, I get to add one for my deck, so it's really powerful. The Synchron, if he destroys a monster, he inflicts more damage. Just going to attack per game. And that's the second one. I'm gonna activate Unexpected Dai, special summon a monster from my deck, so that if something goes wrong, I can always normal summon to go into Electromite. I'm gonna be setting up my scales, double iris on my scales. Even though my scales can't be destroyed, I'm still gonna set them up. The reason I discarded the other guy was so that if I special summon Oafdragon, I can just add him back to my hand. I'm gonna link summon for Electromite. Electromite's effect's gonna put a card in my extra deck. Oafdragon's gonna be able to add me a card in my extra deck to my hand. I'm gonna normal summon, pop the card that I normal summoned. Add Astrophraph Sorcerer. Astrophraph Sorcerer is gonna trigger his effect, special summoning himself. And being able to add a card from my extra deck to my hand, so I'm gonna add a Dragonpulse. And I'm gonna end my turn. It's not the best board, my skills can't be destroyed by card effects. I only have 2 monsters on my field. I don't have any disruption, so if he does something really big, I can't stop him. He's gonna ritual summon a monster, and I'm not entirely sure what it does. I believe it adds more cards. He's gonna activate a field spell, which makes it so his monster can't be destroyed by battle once per turn or something. And he's gonna set a card. So I'm gonna immediately activate Electromite. He's gonna activate his trap card, which I was worried about it, but it doesn't actually do anything. So Electromite's gonna pop my card, it's gonna add me a card from my extra deck. The card that I destroyed is gonna add me a card. Electromite's gonna have the effect where if a card leaves my pendulum zone, I'm gonna draw. So I'm gonna end up adding a card and drawing a card. It's very, very powerful. I always usually try to pop double iris so I can get that out. Because I want the trap card. The trap card is so powerful. Wisdom Eye is gonna activate, destroy itself, search a Dragon Pit from my deck. Dragon Pit's effect is I can discard a pendulum monster, destroy spell or trap. I'm gonna do that. Activate Oafdragon's effect so I can add a card from my extra deck to my hand. Now I'm going to pendulum summon 4 monsters. 2 from my extra deck, 2 from my hand. Oafdragon's effect, so I'm going to add a card from my graveyard to my hand. I'm going to link summon 3 monsters and go into my boss monster, Borosword. I'm just going to activate Raigeki, destroys monster. And I'm going to attack him directly. I didn't even need to use Borosword's effect here. I'm just going to attack him with all my monsters. And that's a win. Let's jump into the next duel. Starting off, this is the 4th duel. My hand is not the best. I have to make do with what I have. So I'm going to set both of these on my scales just because I know that only one of them can activate during the end phase. I'm just doing it because at the time I thought the trap card destroyed my Pendulum Dragon to disrupt him, but it couldn't. And it turns out I activated here chaining thinking I can stop him, but I can't because I have no targets to destroy with the trap card. He's going to go through, he's going to do all his plays. Ends up turning out he's playing Tri-Brigade, which kind of makes me a little scared because Tri-Brigade is really, really, really strong. He does all these like really amazing plays, searches cards, brings out a field. He's gonna XYZ summon into a Link 1, which the effect is you can target a card on the field, detach one material, shuffle it into the deck, targets my trap. And then he's gonna activate this card, special summon itself. There, I was a little confused because he had actually a really amazing board, and I thought there he was gonna link summon using the Tri-Brigade effects, where he targets a card in his graveyard, banishes them, and link summons 1 monster. But he didn't. Instead, he ended up link summoning this guy. So I was a little confused. He might have misplayed. I feel like if he didn't link summon this, I might have lost, and if I didn't lose, I would be in a very tough situation, like a very tough spot. But he ends up link summoning this 2 guy, attacking over my monster, and he ends his turn. I'm not super worried because I grabbed double Iris Magician from the Odd Eyes Destroy last time. I end up drawing a Monster Reborn. I set up my skills, I pendulum I think like 1 monster. I end up summoning 2 monsters. Pendulum Dragon attacks into him, he does double damage, double battle damage. And this guy attacks directly Phantom Dragon's effect. If I have a card in my skill, which I do, he inflicts 1,200 more. It helps a little bit, putting him on low life points. Then I link summon into Electromite so I can start doing my plays. Electromite's gonna pop my Magician. Oh yeah, I'm gonna add a Joker. And I have a normal summon this turn. So I'm gonna get this. I usually do this like all the time as much as I can. Iris is gonna add a card. I'm gonna add the trap card. And Electromite's gonna draw me a random card from my deck. Just draw me a card. I'm gonna normal summon Joker. Joker's effect, when he's normal summon, I'm gonna add a Harmonizing Magician. I'm gonna set Harmonizing Magician as my scale, so they boost attack. Also, so I can use my trap card and pop Harmonizing if he tries to do something. And then end phase, add Wisdom Eye with the Pendulum Dragon. And my turn. He's gonna activate that card. He's gonna activate this. I honestly really do not know what he's doing. He's just negating my monster for some reason. I don't know why. He's gonna normal summon that card, which makes me really afraid because that card lets him link summon his boss monster. So I'm gonna pop it. As soon as he summons his Tri-Brigade monster, destroy it. Because if he's not able to normal summon or special summon another one from his hand or deck, like, I'll be okay. He's gonna have to end turn. So what he's gonna end up doing is sending that card from his hand to send a card from his deck, and he just ends turn setting one card. I'm not really afraid. It's just one trap card. I'm gonna try to do as many plays as I can without special summoning. Meaning I'm just gonna add and I'm gonna try to gain advantage, get my board set up and all that. I'm gonna destroy my card with Electromite just to add a double Iris so I can pop it using my trap card. I'm gonna set up my scales. Wisdom Eye is gonna destroy himself to set a card. Oafdragon, Electromite's gonna draw me a card. Oafdragon's gonna add me a card. Pretty sure this is where I use the trap card to pop double Iris to destroy a spell or trap. I was worried because now I'm gonna start Pendulum summoning. Now activate this card, just protects me more, gets me more advantage. Monster Reborn. I'm gonna target one of his monsters, just because I want to kill him with his own monster, and he ends up surrendering. And finally, the fifth and last duel. My opening hand is okay. I have Pendulum Call, I have Duelist Alliance, and I have the Trap card. Those are the main important ones. I'm gonna activate that as a skill, so I can use Duelist Alliance. Doesn't get negated. I'm gonna add a Pendulum Dragon because I plan on discarding it. And the reason I always do this is because I want to add an Oafdragon, so eventually I can just special summon the Oafdragon and add back the Pendulum Dragon from my graveyard, so I don't really lose any material. Activate the skills. I'm only going to Pendulum summon one monster. The Magician's going to special summon a monster from my deck. Immediately, I'm going to XYZ for Time Star. Time Star's effect's really powerful here. I detach, add a Joker. Since I have a normal summon this turn, I'm going to normal summon Joker. Joker's going to add me a card. He's going to add me a double Iris. I'm going to set a card, and I'm going to pass turn. My skills cannot be destroyed, because I activated Pendulum Call. He's going to set one monster and set two spells or traps. I activate my trap card, destroy both his traps. His traps ended up being, one was a Dust Tornado, and the other one was a Numbers Protection. Immediately on my turn, I'm going to activate my trap card, destroy his monster. I'm going to link summon into Electromite. Always go into Electromite, the best card in your deck. Electromite's going to send Astrophraph Sorcerer. Time Stars, detach, add. And now I think I get a Pendulum summon 4 monsters, right? One, 2, 3, and 4. And I'm not going to do anything fancy. I don't think he really has anything, so I'm just going to attack him directly. This should be enough for game. And with that, that was all 5 duels. Again, I'm really happy with this deck. I know that this deck is going to get even better in the next episode when I am able to get 3 copies of the structure deck. Currently, I only have 2. And besides that, I hope you liked it. If you did, feel free to tell me what you think. If not, thanks for watching, and I hope you have a great day. I'll see you later.